The story starts with a simple moment from the past. A young boy is talking to a girl, and the two of them make a promise that one day, when they grow up, they will get married. To prove he is serious, the boy gives her a necklace with a key pendant, while he keeps a locket shaped like a lock that can only be opened with that key. Fast forward to the present, the boy, Ichiju Raku, is now a high school student. But his life is not exactly normal. Raku comes from a Yakuza family, part of the Shuegumi faction, and he is expected to become the next leader after his father. The problem is, Raku does not want anything to do with violence. Deep down, he is actually a kind and gentle guy who just wants a peaceful life. One day, on his way to school, something unexpected happens. Out of nowhere, a blonde girl suddenly kicks him and sends him flying. Of course, this instantly turns into an argument between them. Things only get worse when he finds out that this girl, Kirisaki Chitogi, is a transfer student who ends up in the same class as him. Chitogi grew up in New York, so she is very outspoken and acts more like a tomboy. She is also surprisingly strong enough to take Raku down without much effort. Meanwhile, Raku has a crush on someone completely different, his classmate Kosaki Onodera. She is gentle, kind, and the total opposite of Chitoge. Still, Raku can never bring himself to confess. A part of him even wonders if Onodera might be the girl from his childhood, the one who holds the key to his locket. That same night, Raku learns something serious from his father. The Shuegumi is currently in conflict with a powerful mafia group from New York called the Beehive. The situation is already dangerous, and several of his father's men have been badly injured. To stop the war, both sides have come up with one solution: an arranged marriage. Without telling Raku beforehand, his father has already agreed to marry him off to the daughter of the Beehive's leader. And if Raku refuses, it could lead to even more violence. With no real choice, Raku is forced to accept it. But the real shock comes when he finds out who his fiancée is. It turns out to be Chitoge, the same girl he just fought with. Chitoge is just as surprised and immediately wants to cancel the whole thing. Unfortunately, both of their fathers refuse. Instead, they force the two of them to act like a couple, even if it is all fake, just to keep the peace between the two groups. So now, Raku and Chitoge have no choice but to pretend they are dating. They have to act all lovey-dovey in public, even though they can barely stand each other. This only makes things more awkward, especially since their personalities are completely opposite. And just like that, their fake relationship begins. This is Nisekoi. False love. Nisekoi! To make things even worse, Chitoji's bodyguard Claude starts to suspect that something is off. He keeps watching them closely, especially during their dates where their awkward behavior makes it obvious that something is not quite right. Pretty soon, the news about Raku and Chitoge being a couple spreads all over the school. Their classmates get excited and fully support them, while Raku awkwardly tries to avoid the attention since he actually likes someone else. At the same time, Onodera looks quietly disappointed because she has been secretly in love with Raku this whole time. Meanwhile, Claude still does not buy the whole relationship and decides to keep watching them closely even at school. Claude's constant presence ends up making things worse for Chitoge. Other students start avoiding her, just like what happened at her old school. Back then, she never had friends either, since everyone was too scared of her bodyguard and her family's reputation. Seeing this, Raku starts to feel bad for her, especially since he knows what it is like to be treated differently because of his own background. Trying to help, Raku approaches Chitoge when she is alone in the classroom. He gives her a notebook filled with information about all their classmates and encourages her to try getting closer to them. Feeling motivated, Chitoge follows his advice right away. But things take a weird turn when one of the students finds her notes and completely misunderstands them, thinking she wrote everything down with bad intentions. The situation almost spirals, but Onodera steps in just in time. She understands that Chitoge was only trying to learn more about everyone so she could make friends. Onodera then helps clear things up and even invites Chitoge to open up more about herself. Thanks to that moment, Chitoge finally starts making her first real friend, and it means a lot to her. The next day, things get even more chaotic when a new student transfers into their class. Her name is Marika Tachibana, and she immediately stands out. She is beautiful, confident, and just like Chitoge, she is constantly surrounded by guards. It turns out she is the daughter of a police commissioner. But what really shocks everyone is what she claims right away. Marika boldly announces that she is Raku's fiancé and plans to marry him. Raku is completely caught off guard since he has no memory of her at all. However, when he notices the necklace she is wearing, something clicks. It looks just like the key necklace from his childhood promise, making him wonder if she might be the girl he has been searching for. Of course, Marika's sudden appearance catches Claude's attention immediately. He pressures Raku for answers, but Raku denies everything and insists he does not know her. To keep their fake relationship from falling apart, Raku puts on a convincing act and claims that he truly loves Chitoge. Surprisingly, Chitoge starts to believe it, and deep down she feels a little happy hearing those words, hinting that her feelings for Raku might be real too.
Get her out!
After that, Raku and Chitoge slowly start getting along better. The constant arguing fades, and they begin to feel more comfortable around each other. One day, Raku opens up about the promise he made as a child, explaining how he still plans to find the girl connected to his locket and keep that promise. Chitoge listens, but she does not think too deeply about it, since marriage is not really on her mind yet, even though she is technically engaged to him. One day, Raku, Chitoge, and Onodera decide to have a group study session at Raku's house. But instead of a normal study day, things turn into total chaos. Chitoge arrives with members of the Beehive Gang, all dressed in formal suits, while inside the house, the Shuegumi Yakuza are also on standby to guard their future boss. Then, to make things even crazier, Marika suddenly shows up with a full police escort, since she is the daughter of a police commissioner. Now the house is basically filled with gangsters and police at the same time, making the whole situation super tense. At some point, the Yakuza decide to take things into their own hands and lock Raku and Chitoge inside a dark warehouse, hoping it will make them get closer. But instead of anything romantic happening, Chitoge ends up completely terrified, since she is actually scared of the dark. She just clings to Raku in fear, which totally ruins her usual tough image. Instead of comforting her, Raku ends up teasing her for acting strong all the time, but being scared of something like this. Around this time, the story shifts to Onodera at her house, where a big secret is finally revealed. She is actually the girl from Raku's childhood promise, the one who holds the key that matches his locket. She has kept that necklace safely all this time but never told Raku the truth. Instead, she has been trying to help him remember her in subtle ways. One of her ideas is to suggest a Romeo and Juliet play for the school festival, since that story was part of their childhood promise. The idea gets approved right away, and Raku is chosen to play Romeo. But, to her disappointment, the role of Juliet goes to Chitoge instead of her. Even though she feels hurt, Onodera still supports them and wants everything to go well. The group heads to a mountain villa for practice, and after rehearsals they all join a haunted house-style game at night. Onodera sees this as a chance to get closer to Raku since they are paired together, but things suddenly take a turn when they realize Chitoge is missing. She has wandered off into the forest and cannot be found. Raku immediately panics, knowing how scared she is of the dark, and rushes into the forest to look for her. He eventually finds her alone and trembling in fear. After that, the two of them spend some quiet time together under the night sky. Chitoge, who has already developed feelings for Raku, tries to open up and show that what they have might be real. But Raku, being completely oblivious, brushes it off and says they are not compatible at all. That moment hits Chitoge hard. Feeling like her feelings are one-sided, she quietly returns to the inn. But things get even worse when she sees Onodera wearing the exact key necklace that Raku once talked about. At that point, Chitoge realizes the truth, that Raku and Onodera like each other. With that in mind, she decides to step back. She gives up her role as Juliet so Onodera can take her place, and on top of that, she starts planning to return to New York soon. The next day, Raku and the others prepare for their final rehearsal before the big performance. Everything seems fine at first, but then something unexpected happens. Onodera suddenly slips and hits her foot on a ladder. The The injury is serious enough that she can no longer continue practicing, and in the end, she has to step down from the play because she can barely walk. With the performance day just around the corner, there is no time to find a replacement. So Onodera asks Chitoge to take the role of Juliet again. Even though the situation is complicated, Chitoge agrees and returns to the stage.
Romeo and Juliet!
Soon, the day of the performance arrives. The entire venue is packed, not just with students, but also with members of the Shuegumi Yakuza and the Beehive Gang. Both groups show up in full force to watch the play. Raku and Chitoge are clearly nervous, but they still try their best to perform perfectly. At first, everything goes smoothly, but then things start to feel different. Chitoge begins to let her real emotions slip into her acting, making her version of Juliet feel completely different from the original character. At the same time, Raku also starts expressing his feelings in a subtle way, and the scene turns into something that feels more like a real argument than acting.
Romeo-sama!
危うくこっちは死にかけたんだ。
そんな昔の話。
The audience, however, thinks it is all part of the performance and cheers loudly, impressed by what they believe is incredible acting. Realizing what they are doing, Raku and Chitoge quickly adjust and return to the script, finishing the scene as planned. Meanwhile, behind the stage, Onodera watches everything unfold. Seeing Raku share such an intimate moment with Chitoge makes her feel a quiet sense of jealousy. After the play ends, Chitoge tells Raku to meet Onodera on the school rooftop. At the same time, she prepares to leave for New York that very night. Confused but curious, Raku heads to the rooftop. There, he finds Onodera waiting for him. This is where the truth finally comes out. Onodera reveals that she is the girl from his childhood promise. She shows him the necklace that perfectly matches his locket, proving everything. Raku feels overwhelmed with happiness. After all this time, he has finally found the girl he made that promise with. He is grateful that Onodera still cares about him even now. But despite that, Raku realizes something important. His feelings have already changed. He gently rejects Onodera, explaining that he has fallen in love with Chitoge. Even though it hurts, Onodera accepts his decision. For her, what matters most is that she was able to tell the truth and share her feelings. In the end, she only wants Raku to be happy. After coming to terms with his true feelings, Raku wastes no time. With the help of his bodyguards and even Marika, who helps clear the way through traffic, he rushes to stop Chitoge before her plane leaves. But just when it seems like he might make it in time, one last obstacle appears. Claude steps in and blocks his path, demanding proof of Raku's love for Chitoge. Even with a gun pointed at him, Raku does not back down. He stands firm and is even willing to risk his life to prove how serious he is. Claude pulls the trigger, but the gun is empty. In that moment, he finally understands that Raku is telling the truth. Convinced by Raku's resolve, Claude steps aside and lets him go. Meanwhile, Chitoge has already boarded her father's private jet and is ready to leave. Just as the plane is moving along the runway, she notices something surprising. Raku is out there, running after the plane, refusing to give up. In the middle of a cold, snowy night, Raku keeps chasing with everything he has. He looks exhausted, but he does not stop.
Snugger! Snugger! Snugger!
Eventually, the plane comes to a halt, and Chitoge steps out to face him. At first, she plans to make fun of him, especially since he is still wearing his Romeo costume. But the moment she gets a closer look, she notices how tired he is, along with a bruise on his face from earlier. It becomes clear that he has been through a lot just to get here. Chitoge tries to push him away by reminding him that she is not the girl he had been searching for all this time. Raku agrees with that, but then he realizes something much more important. For Raku, it is not about the promise anymore. What matters is how he feels now. And the truth is, he is happiest when he is with Chitoge. In the end, Raku finally confesses his feelings. Chitoge reacts in her usual way, acting a bit annoyed and teasing him, but it is obvious she feels the same. The story wraps up with the two of them together, sharing a warm moment in the middle of a cold, snowy night. So the moral of the story is never make a childhood marriage promise, unless you are ready to unlock 3 different love triangles, fight gang wars, and sprint after a plane in a Romeo costume just to realize you liked the loud girl all along.